SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Engineering, Medical and Health Sciences, Management, Dental, Science and Humanities, Law, Agriculture Sciences, Hotel Management. Admissions open.
Very good morning to one and all present here. It is a proud moment to be a part of the Indian Green Building Council. In this week of the World Green Building Week from September 21 to September 25th, we have taken the responsibility to be a part of the IGBC to accomplish its objective to making sustainable built environment and integrate these initiatives in our students as well. I, Esther Sherry, Admin Coordinator, on behalf of SRM School of Architecture and Interior Design, welcome you to the inaugural session of the IGBC SRM Engineering Institutional Membership and the Student Chapter 2020. A heartfelt gratitude to the Chief Guest Architect Ian Raghavendran, Chairman IGBC Chennai Chapter. Many thanks to the management of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, whose constant support has made all things possible. I thank the Chancellor, Dr. Parivender, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sandeep Sanchetti, Pro VC, Dr. Muttamil Selvan, our Dean CET, Dr. T.V. Gopal, Director International Relationships, Dr. Qatar Singh, and all those who are at the backbone of our endeavors. I thank Dr. P. Satish Kumar, Dean School of Architecture and Interior Design, for having been inspiring and instrumental in every step we take. A very special thanks to Dr. Napoleon, Dean Research, Dr. Cheraladan, Head Mechanical Engineering, Kanta Devi, Dean Department of Environment and Nuclear Research, Dr. Varshini Karthik, Head Biomedical Engineering, and all the guests present here with us today. I welcome all the students and faculty members of the School of Architecture and Interior Design and other departments of engineering as well. Many thanks to a tirelessly working team of faculty who have always been there to support the growth and development of our institution. I would like to thank all of you once again for joining us today and towards the work. I kindly request our Dean, Dr. P. Satish Kumar sir, to address the gathering.
Very good morning, everybody. Welcome, Architect Padma Shri C.N. Raghavendran, Chairman of Messrs. C.R. and Associates, and Chairman of IGBC Chennai Chapter, our leader, mentor, guru, godfather, and many more to say, our respected teacher. And welcome, Dr. T.V. Gopal, Dean, College of Engineering and Technology, SRMIST, both of you to sign this MOU on behalf of SRMIST and IGBC, who is the forerunner and the leader of the entire engineering technology of SRMIST KTR. A special invite to Mr. Anand, Principal Counselor, IGBC, my good friend, where we traveled since 2001 and 2. Also, a special invite to Mr. Girish, IGBC Counselor, Mr. Srideka, who are the speakers of the day on green. A special welcomes to Dr. M. Linus Martin, Director Campus Life, to deliver the valedictory address. He took a lot of initiative for making this SRMIST KTR campus green apart from academics and research. And also a special welcome to all deans, directors, heads of other schools of architecture, colleges, departments for taking up this green initiatives. As a matter of responsibility, we have to hand over our mother here without any damage to the next generation. Such an initiation was taken up by all the institutions of our university in this 250-acre campus at Katangurthu, SRMIST. A special invite to all my dear students and faculty members in the School of Architecture and Interior Design. As a matter of respect and honor, it's my privilege to welcome Dr. B. Napoleon, Dean Research, Dr. M. Cheraladan, Head, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Dr. Kanta Devi Arunachalam, Dean, Department of Environmental Nuclear Research, SRMIST, Dr. Vashini Karthik, Head, Department of Biomedical Engineering, SRMIST, in this green initiative and signing this MOU along with SRMIST. In fact, out of the busy schedule, they are a part of the whole team here, and others are also given a consent to go ahead. And to inaugurate the student chapter, it's my privilege to welcome the student representative of School of Architecture and Interior Design, Mr. Mohana Krishna, 4th year BArch, Ms. Vidya, 4th year BArch, Ms. Snigdhar Thakur, 3rd year BArch, Mr. Muttusamy, 3rd year BArch, Mr. James Joseph Daniel, 3rd year BArch, and Hatsa Banu, 3rd year BDS. And along with this, it is my privilege and gives me an immense pleasure to have the inauguration of the Indian Green Building Council membership for SRMIST. It is week of World Green Building Week 21 to 25 of September 2020, and becoming a proud member of IGBC, we have taken the responsibility to take up the IGBC to accomplish its objective to make sustainable built environment, to instigate these initiatives in our students as well. The objective of these chapters are to spread this awareness on green buildings among the students community and to ignite the idea of green in these young minds, because it is not an MOU, just it's a part of living, it's a style of living, and we have to ignite this into their minds. And we also taken this forward to this research and other academic curriculums, and ignite sustainable ideas among the young generation so that they will facilitate India to become world leaders in green building concepts. This will help them to embed the sustainability features in every project they initiate and design. Also, it will enhance their life with sustainability concepts and will help in spreading these in their known forums and to have a very good outreach. This is the whole idea of today. And thank you very much for everybody for spending your valuable and precious time to make this initiative as successful and to take it for a greater heights. Thank you so much for the opportunity. All the best.
Thank you, sir. I now request our Dean, Dr. T.V. Gopal sir, to address the gathering.
Very good morning to one and all. A special welcome to our chief guest, Mr. C.N. Raghavendran, there has been a lot of initiatives that have been taken by the Dean, Dr. Satish Kumar. And after his taking charge as the Dean of School of Architecture and Interior Design, he has made a lot of changes in the system, as well as a lot of initiatives he have taken, which will go a long way in building the brand of SAID, the School of Architecture and Interior Design. It gives me great pleasure in joining this function, the MOU ceremony function, along with the guest, Mr. Raghavendran. Of course, the Go Green is the buzzword right now, and there has been a lot of talks and a lot of deliberations going on. And as Professor Satish rightly pointed out, we have to give this to the next generation. I mean, the Mother Earth should be free of all the pollution. Of course, directly or indirectly, the COVID has really made some changes, at least in India. The greener effect has come in some parts of India. Probably if you take the case of Delhi, I think the pollution level has dropped to a larger extent because of the lockdown effect. So I think the sustainable energy and the green buildings are going to be the future. And I think each and every building that we build, it has to be a green building. And this MOU with SRM and IGBC, I think it's going to go a long way in implementing such initiatives, at least within SRM. And once that is done, probably we'll take it to the other parts of the state also. The features or the terms which are listed in this MOU, I think the student and the faculty members will benefit a lot. And I think the next 2 days also you have a lot of deliberations happening, which is going to help the dissemination of knowledge in this area. I wish the Dean School of Architecture and Interior Design and all their faculty members who have taken efforts to bring this MOU into fruition, and the benefits that we are going to reap is going to help us in the long run. I wish the entire team and the university, of course, on behalf of the university, best and a lot to come in future. With this, I just hand over to the Narayan.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I request Architect Yamini ma'am to introduce the chief guest.
Thank you, Esther ma'am. Good morning, one and all. It is indeed a challenge to introduce a dignitary who is so famous and well known to everyone. Everybody knows about him, his achievements and everything. I take the honor of introducing the chief guest of the day, a dynamic personality who has agreed to preside over the function and make it over more memorable for all of us. It's none other than Padma Shri C. N. Raghavendran sir. Graduated with honors from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur in 1965 and masters from University of California, Berkeley, USA in 1967, he has successfully executed a wide variety of trend-setting projects. Amongst his notable contribution in the field of design and architecture is the introduction of innovative building technologies, which are environmentally conscious approach for designing high-performance buildings. His firm's commitment in the practice of green building concept resulted in him being selected as the chairman of the LEED India. In addition to the Padma Shri Award in 2011, Architect Raghavendran is a recipient of many prestigious awards, including the IIA Design Excellence Award and the Architect of Year Award, Indian Institute of Architects Hall of Fame Award, to name a few. there are a lot more feathers to his cap and time is short. He's always been enthusiastic in sharing his thoughts with respect to green concepts and its methodology of usage in the buildings. We'll feel really privileged to have you in our midst, sir. On behalf of everyone out here, I welcome you, sir, and address the gathering. The stage is all yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for this nice introduction. I wish I can live up to the words that you mentioned.
Thank you.
Now, it's a great pleasure and privilege for me to be here on the occasion of SRM Institute of Science and Technology and the Said School of Architecture and Interior Design to have taken up the great initiative and come forward to be part of the IGBC family. Now, on behalf of Indian Green Building Council, I congratulate you. I respect you for your decision, a very vital decision and a very crucial understanding of what each one of us can do for sustainable future and a healthy built environment in future for all. It's wonderful of the institution to have taken leadership in coming forward with this wonderful initiative of not only becoming an institutional member and also to form a student chapter of the between SRM Institute of Science and Technology and Indian Green Building Council. So on behalf of the entire IGBC family, I welcome you to our fold. And I also noticed that you have taken the responsibility to help IGBC to accomplish its objectives and to make sustainable built environment and inculcate them in the initiatives of your students as the students. Now, so I must really thank the members of the school, the faculty and the dean, Dr. T.V. Gopal, Dr. P. Satish Kumar, and the architecture department and various other departments to have taken this step forward. I think Anand is not here, my colleague Anand. I think he'll be there in the afternoon to talk more intensely about IGBC and its activities. Now, Anand, you must be lucky to hear Anand. I'll see his commitment and passion. So, to dwell a little differently than what Anand I expect will do, what I wish to do is, I wish to talk about architecture and why we are connected with green buildings. And what is a green building? Well, how is it relevant to us? And why should we ever do a green building? And what is good or bad about this whole affair of green buildings? Now, firstly, I was told yesterday that the audience is not just the architects alone, but it's a whole gamut of engineering and technology students attending this. And I'm also told that a lot of students who are involved in robotics and artificial intelligence and highly intelligent approach to doing the routine things. I think they're all the solution finders, and I think it's a very valid, wide group. Therefore, it's in fact a double honor to speak to not only architects, but also speak to these budding engineers and budding technologists and budding researchers and budding innovators. So I thank the SRM for this opportunity. Now, firstly coming to an architect and the built environment. See, architect alone is no longer responsible for a building. Now, gone are the days when the master architect sits in his usually a dimly lit room and usually on a haphazard table and being creative about it, because it is somewhere said or perhaps believed that best creates creativity, helps creativity to be more sharper and better. You see most artists who are living a bohemian life. So, architects, it was a kind of image that architects had, a brilliant creator sitting in isolation, and his visualizations and his dream and philosophy give shape and form to the buildings that he designs. And he reflects on the building, the user, the site, and so on, and creates a building which users find it, very enterprise, very uh, inspiring, and so on. Just give me 1 minute, please. Very inspiring, and so on. Now, there are also several architects who don't fall in this category of brilliant creators, leaders or masters of architecture, or star architects, as we call them, star architects. But they all do the service a common community facility in designing various other utilitarian buildings across. A lot of public infrastructure like hospitals, schools, and you have transportation hubs, and you have commercial establishments, residential buildings. A huge number of these are designed by architects. And also the Indian building industry is growing. I mean, despite the temporary hold that COVID has brought, the pandemic has brought, but given the size and the economic power that India is coming to be, I mean, I don't want to take a negative short-term look of the COVID and what it has done, how it has disrupted all of our work, all of our economy, and all our health and happiness and good living. But I'm sure we'll bounce back. I'm sure this COVID will become a thing of the past, and I'm sure we'll grow in a double-digit manner than what we did before. So when such a thing happens, India has a great, bright future, and we'll be back to building new cities, smart cities. We'll be building new facilities for the people and public, not only in urban areas, metros, but also in tier 2 cities and villages and so on. Now, this is where the built environment gets to be responsible to what it does to the environment. If we are careless about this rapid growth, already we are seeing the impact of mindless urbanization that has happened, unplanned urbanization, and the unplanned way the construction industry has modeled itself by immigrant labor, unprotected, uncared for, and we've seen what is happening. So I think all these will help us to build a better infrastructure, even to service the building industry, how we organize ourselves. So this huge growth that India anticipates requires a huge amount of inputs to design this built environment. So as I said, it's not the architects alone. Architects has become a member of a big team. It's a collaborative, multidisciplinary effort, and therefore architect today is not just designing for his own self philosophy or self ambition or self visualization, but he has to design for people. He or she has to design for climate, the location, the planet, and the environment, and the ecosystems that are there. And for this, he needs to take today the help of all the engineers, and we have to work with this. Now, engineers play a vital role in this whole whole cycle of design and construction. We see that if an architect is to design a building, gone are the days that he sends a plan to a distant services engineers, the air conditioning engineer, the mechanical engineers, and the expert on fire safety and structural consultants and so on. And the architect remains, literally gives up the responsibility to integrate these things. But today, with all the tools that are available, with all the BIM and building information modeling and so on, everybody works together and everybody's input comes in together. And when the common goal is to make a safe, healthy, and sustainable and built environment, the goal becomes more accomplishable if we work together in a greater field. Therefore, today, if you see any architectural work, you see a whole lot of faces. Maybe the architect is the front face, but behind the architect's front face, you see a lot of help and a lot of collaboration that has to take place. So this is a good move that SRM has created this collaborative atmosphere for students to work and learn and be future budding leaders of India in the coming generation. Now, why green building? Now, as we know, the building industry employs the, it's perhaps second largest labor intensive unit. It has become an industry in terms of production of materials and systems of building and so on. And it is in general grown, and it is such a level in a manner that it used to happen traditionally. Now that is no longer possible, and we need to take a transformation. The reason being that the built environment has become a major contributor to the environmental degradation. Like, for instance, manufacture of materials. It causes damage to the ecosystems. It causes damage to the waterways, the pollutions, the transportation, throws up so much of carbon output to the atmosphere. So every step of from raw material procurement to manufacture, whether it is steel, concrete or brick or any other material, they are no longer a one-way direction in terms of use of resources. So we are depleting the resources by continuously building, unmindfully of are we eating into the total system of resources available. Now, somebody said in the next 10 years, by 2030, we'll need to supply our resources, not only in terms of building products and so on, but even for our food and so on. We'll require the capacity of several planets like Earth to supply us the resources that we need. It's no longer possible to feed 10 billion population in the world, which is going to happen sooner or later. Now, this building occupies space. We are either it's spreading out in the land, destroying ecology, destroying forests, destroying waterways, and building in areas which are not fit for development. And the material production is another. So what's happening is the buildings pollute, all products pollute. You either have some direct or indirect pollution that is caused the creation, waste is being created. In fact, the construction debris itself is a huge amount of waste that's completely avoidable. And the power and energy required for producing these building materials is huge. And the embodied carbon of our materials is very huge. And on top of that, in the usage of building, we use substantial amount of electricity and water. And also the kind of buildings that are coming up and in the urban situation now is not causing a healthy living environment for people, both in terms of daylighting, in terms of ventilation, in terms of indoor air quality, and use of waste, throwing out too much of waste and not recycling it, and not producing more waste than what we need to produce. So these are all becoming byproducts of this growing building industry. And therefore, realizing this in the year 2001, IGBC felt that a change of mindset has to happen. And for that, the first thing is to spread awareness. And therefore, IGBC started with a vision that sustainable buildings are not anymore for a select few. It is for everybody, and the spread of sustainable buildings must be within reach of any building or any industry. So starting with this vision, the ITC started green building movement and spreading awareness. By green building, what they meant was that you consume less, you take less than what you put in, and therefore your buildings become more efficient in terms of resources. Your buildings more efficient in use of in its useful life cycle, and even after you demolish the building after use or repurpose it, you don't really produce or consign to waste the entire efforts and values that have gone into the building. And this is becoming more and more important since our building stock, existing building stock in cities are huge, and we can no longer afford to rely only on new buildings hereafter. All the existing buildings have to be repurposed. If they're inefficient, we have to improve the lighting, we have to improve the ventilation, we have to improve the efficiencies, and so on and so forth. Now, if you take this attitude, so what IGBC did in the early years was to spread awareness and then they have to create a skill set amongst people, not only amongst professionals, but uh, also negotiate with the public institutions to say why they should go for green buildings. So in the 20 years or so of green building movement's existence, IGBC has been able to convince and create an awareness wherein optimize energy efficiency, use less water, conserving more resources, building healthy spaces is important for human well-being. So the human angle of this has been the message that IGBC has convinced several corporates, several public sector undertakings, and several institutions, and also several individuals. Now today, becoming a building, owning a building that is green, or living in a building that is green, is required by choice. People ask for it today. Unlike 10 or 15 years ago, in fact, some people were even suspicious of getting into a green building. Because they had a feeling that green buildings cost more, and living in green buildings also is a costly affair, which is no longer true. It has been proved over and over again that that's not so. So when you can behave responsibly towards society, towards community, towards environment, and that's the way IGBC has pushed the agenda of sustainable buildings. And there has been a shift from building normally, conventionally, and building in a green way. This is almost touching the consciousness of people who are in the building industry today. Whether it is large building associations like CREDAI, or public sector undertakings like CPWD, or so many other buildings coming up in the government sector, they're all aware of it, and they all choose by intent that their building should be green and reflect the green technology, green features, and eventually contribute. In the process, the exponential growth has also set forth a challenge, which is highlighted by the World Green Building Council this week. We are celebrating the World Green Building Week from 21st September to 25th September, and tomorrow is the culmination of this area. And World Green Building Council has rightfully set a target or focus that that the Sustainability Development Goals of United Nations is very important, particularly in respect of climate change. Now, climate change is as big a threat as COVID, of course, with differences. Now, at least COVID, in a light-hearted way, I can say, sooner or later they'll find a vaccine. But you don't have a vaccine for climate change. And climate change is going to change systems so badly. The geographic pattern or the weather pattern is going to change so substantially. It's already, we are reeling under the impact of this increase in temperature. So, 2019 is the hottest year ever recorded. And this year in California, the Death Valley recorded 133 degrees Fahrenheit centigrade. 130 degrees Fahrenheit in terms of record. I mean, no living being, no human being can survive in that kind of atmosphere. And the ever-rising coastal areas and the agricultural output getting impacted due to the unseasonal weather forecast, weather behavior. All this is going to make life miserable if the climate change is not arrested. And this has been going on for some time, not only at heads of state level, but also at the level of associations like World Green Buildings, and also the various other architectural associations or associations, and like IGBC, and also American Institute of Architects, and the various governments who have committed that by 2030 they will achieve less carbon, reduce the carbon footprint of buildings, and reduce the green gas house emissions, and reduce carbon emissions in general, and then also take care of other features of green building. So on account of that, it becomes very important that our way that we build the way we conceive of is going to have a tectonic shift in future. It's no longer the old way. The old way will not work. And who else is right than catch the young minds in the formation level? All the students who are who sooner or later going to graduate and get into career in different opportunities that are available to them. They're going to be responsible for this tectonic shift. And what better way to inculcate this awareness and what is possible. See, the target may be difficult, but it's not impossible if it is given to the right leadership. And it's that right leadership that we are trying to create by bringing in students. That's why IGBC focuses on involving students in this movement. And that's what we see as a bright future for handling the future problems. Therefore, this formation of student chapter and becoming a part of IGBC family and taking parts in various IGBC activities, the annual conferences. In fact, the next annual conference, a virtual conference, is going to be held in the coming months. And all these, you will see, leaders and experts participating, bringing the best practices, bringing in future directions, and bringing in the regulatory aspects, like how do we encourage green buildings through regulation, through regulatory mechanism, and so on, and also the market forces. How do you influence the market forces to design green? Now, these are all various angles to the implementation of green philosophy in the built environment, and that's why IGBC has become a success story in India. IGBC has more than about 80-90% of market share in Indian market, and IGBC is almost the world number 2 in terms of green building footage in a matter of 20 years, in a short period, 20 years, from almost zero to world second position it has reached, and competing closely with other leading Western countries and also China. And the vision of IGBC is to reach 10 billion square feet by 2022, which is the 75th year of independence of the country. And the institutions like yours and the student body members play a very vital role in this area. Now, again, one or two important messages to the students. See, the understanding of building physics is very crucial. Yes, there is a lot of emphasis for architects to be creative, to find innovative solutions, and so on. So when typically a problem is addressed to an engineering student, all students are expected to produce one correct answer. And usually there's only one correct answer, or maybe at the most 2 correct answers, or slight variation thereof. But when you address a problem to an architect's class, it is not one solution is bad. You expect, in a class of 40 students, you expect 40 different solutions, each being their own interpretations. So this is what brings the capacity to visualize, capacity to take the challenge, capacity to interpret the problems and the challenges, and how they work towards the problem solving approach is what is important. So we are by training a large number of architecture students, we get into a situation where we multiply our skill sets, multiply our capacity to handle the problem of the future. And so I spoke of building physics because it's no longer enough that one designs, and on paper you establish that your buildings are energy efficient, or your buildings have natural lighting, your buildings have ventilation, good natural ventilation, and so on. Now today it is possible to test, even at design stage, whether your statements are correct or not. And after completion, you have ways to measure buildings to see whether your postulates are correct or not. So this kind of important step that's today available, tools that are available today, is going to influence how we build in future. Therefore, at the design stage, the architect can and is empowered to test fit his or her design into to check and verify and work on it by trying out multiple options of whether you achieve the design intent being a green building or a sustainable building. So these tools are important lessons for students to learn, and energy modeling and testing the carbon footprint of building, embedded carbon in the building materials, and in the usage of building, the running cost of building by way of energy consumed and by way of water consumed and wasted, recycled and all that. We can actually predict the building's performance in future. And we'll be designing more of high performance buildings in future than buildings that are not performing well. And considering this huge stock of buildings that we have, the movement is already started by large buildings understanding the benefit of green buildings and finding simple solutions to convert themselves into sustainable buildings. And this applies not only to buildings, it applies to neighborhoods, it applies to transportation hubs, it applies to so many other fields. That is why IGBC has today almost about 26 or more rating systems being the mechanism in which they evaluate the building design and building performance and give recognition to its intent and design, recognition to what measures have been incorporated for the goal of sustainable building. Now each case is different. How do you evaluate an office building from a residential building? How do you evaluate an airport terminal from a commercial building? How do you evaluate a hospital? Each one has its own specific requirements, and therefore the 26 or so rating systems have focused individually on each building typology and have created a set of guidelines and measurements and evaluation systems by which you can actually assess the performance of buildings at design stage and also later at performance stage. This is going to, in fact, many countries in the world have made a part and parcel of building approval process that you submit your building analysis, building energy modeling and building performance modeling right ahead before the building is even built. It happens in Singapore, it happens in Hong Kong, it is happening in many Western countries, that the building must prove that it's performing well. It's likely to perform well even at the time of building applications. And India is fast in catching up all these new positive inputs, and I'm sure by the time the students come out into their career, into practicing or whatever career options they undertake, they'll have to be working in a totally different environment than what the past decades have learned us to do. Therefore, I think that this opportunity to work with students is highly coveted by the IGBC, and I must really congratulate the management of SRM to have decided to take IGBC to work collaboratively with IGBC, and I have great pleasure to have been part of this initiative that the college has taken. And for students, I wish to convey my heartiest best wishes and a bright future, and the life is in your hands. You have to make out what you can, and the colleges give you the knowledge and the wisdom to do what you can in a better way. So make the best use of this opportunity. Don't be stuck by conventions. Have a questioning mind. Inquisitiveness is not bad. Don't accept what is conventional, and be yourself. And always evaluate what you've done. You can't stop with just doing something, but evaluate and relearn. Relearning is a very important part of the career, and therefore I would wish the students a bright future. And your future is bright. The country's future is bright. So with this, I would close my talk. I would welcome the institution into IGBC fold. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. That was such a wonderful vision into the various key sustainability aspects and the steps taken by IGBC towards it. I'm sure it would be a real eye-opener for all the participants out here. Thank you once again. Now, we would like to ask few questions to you, sir. Shall we?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. Moving on to the first question. We all know that sustainability is not new to India, and we have various examples in our historical buildings. Maybe we have forgotten it to take it over into our present design. But sir, can you elaborate on the various steps or difficulties faced by IGBC in pushing the concepts of sustainable technologies in the present trend?
See, one thing, for paucity of time, I did not touch upon the aspect that sustainability was the DNA, or DNA and tradition. But it is true that ancient Indians really knew the meaning of sustainability. They lived out of what is available to them, and they did not exploit any resource. If they choose to live mostly along the river banks, that's where all the major civilizations have come up, and along the trade routes. The way they built is not designed by architects. The way they built was an output of their own experience. They studied climate pattern, they studied materials availability, they studied the local conditions in terms of rain and the various other damages, wind directions and all that. And they did their own solar path analysis also, which we do today manually or through the software app that we do. It is all in their mind, and they design so consciously. And that's why you see in India, traditional buildings, before the advent of, say, the last century, they were all so naturally environment friendly. They gave the best kind of an environment for indoor living and outdoor living. They encouraged community action, interaction. They encouraged wellness. They encouraged daylighting and natural ventilation were the key features of these houses. And climate. Why did a house in Rajasthan differ from a house in Kerala, for instance? Both extremely opposite. One is hot and dry. The other is humid atmosphere with a huge amount of rains. Now, the difference in the climate not only reflects in the buildings, one encouraging natural ventilation, because in a humid atmosphere, air movement across your skin helps you to have a cooling effect by evaporation of the sweat that comes on your skin. So this is a natural cooling process. That's why the ancient Vastu that was prevailing in certain parts of the country encouraged cross ventilation. They are focused on cross ventilation. And I'm not a great proponent of Vastu, but there are scientific merits in certain basic principles. Whereas if you see houses in a hot and arid and dry conditions, like in the deserts, now there you had extreme diurnal variation in temperature. Now nights are cooler and daytime is extremely hot. So what is a natural way to soak in the radiation of the daytime, the harsh sun, and radiate it at nighttime when it's cool? So the house is naturally conditioned during daytime as a cool area and at nighttime as a warm area, exactly opposite of what is happening outside. This they invented by building thermal mass. The knowledge of thermal mass that we talk about in their own approach to buildings. I mean, there are several examples like this. Now, that's why IGBC, in its amendment to the rating system for the new buildings a couple of years ago, brought in the feature of passive architecture. Now, in fact, passive architecture is recognized and is accepted and is appropriately recognized as to how the building orientation, the building solar shading, and the building's massing, and the building's openings and the shading and various shades and the windows and the transparency of buildings, the solids and voids, how these things are conditioned is at the design stage by the architects. In fact, a lot of architects pride themselves by saying that his or her buildings is naturally climate friendly. And climate friendliness is part and parcel of their design approach, which is true. Now, this is recognized by IGBC because this is a starting point. A building which starts well with a good principle is easier to reach sustainability levels with less intervention by mechanical or electrical efforts. You don't have to, for instance, a good building which is well insulated, well ventilated, and well shaded requires less of air conditioning load, and building which is brightly daylit. You don't need electricity at all to light up the buildings internally during daytime. And you have all these benefits of this. And in fact, the ancient way of water, how we respect water and how we treat water, how we don't waste anything. In fact, in the ancient times, there was no such thing as waste. Everything was reused. Even plants and trees, if they are consumed as food, had multiple other uses. I mean, every tree you take, banana or a jackfruit or anything you take, had usage for every part of that tree. And that's why the most modern buildings also have a usage for every waste. You have solid waste, you have waste, the liquid waste, you have dry waste, you have wet waste, organic waste. Now today, everything can be converted. You have kitchen waste in large establishments. For instance, some of the IT offices, which engage about 5,000 or 6,000 people in one building, and their cafeteria produces tons of food waste. Now, this food waste is not thrown. Food waste is completely used through a bioconverter, and either it produces natural gas for cooking purposes, or it can create composting. It can create so many other things. Wastewater is recycled. So the IGBC has recognized these aspects of the wisdom, traditional wisdom that we earned, that we inherited, and the challenges that you asked what IGBC is facing is really not a challenge, because IGBC, it is a challenge to make people understand. And I think IGBC has done tremendously well. For instance, the myth or various myths surrounding green buildings have been knocked off successfully by IGBC. That's why you see today the number of applicants, number of people who are registering for IGBC is growing day by day. And that's why aspirations of IGBC is also increasing to the extent that we are hoping that 2022 or thereof, we'll be reaching a 10 billion square feet mark in terms of registered green buildings. So IGBC's only challenge, it's not a challenge, but only goal that we are working on closely is to involve the regulatory mechanism to promote this. That is, you find that slowly various metropolitan areas, various cities, various inland areas are all developing their own building systems, building approval regulatory systems, which are now becoming part of the green building is becoming part of the regulatory systems. National Building Code has a chapter on sustainability. And when the government buildings say we have to follow National Building Code, so automatically sustainability following sustainability is a mandated thing. So making it mandated is very important. I like what many other countries do. And for instance, building with nature. For instance, countries like Singapore have felt that to regulate loss of greenery, natural greenery in a particular site when a building comes up, they have stipulated that if you build on a, say, 2-acre property, a large campus or a large commercial building or a residential complex or a multi-use building, whatever number of trees and plants that you destroy must be built into your building itself. That is why you see biophilia coming into building. You have terrace gardens, you have balconies, you have green walls, you have all this replacing what you've lost already. Therefore, the carbon sink that the trees and plantation happen is retained. So these are the regulatory systems which IGBC is trying to encourage public bodies to adopt, and we are slowly succeeding. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think we are in short of time, so we have a lot more questions to ask you. But because of short of time, we'll just move forward. Thank you, sir, for such wonderful answers, which were not only enthusiastic but motivational to the gathering. So many years of experience has been condensed in these 30 minutes, and we are very fortunate enough to receive this, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Over to Gajendran, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for the words.
Thank you.
Now, I request Dr. B. Napoleon, Dean of Research, SRM-IST, to give a few words. Sir?
Yes, sir. So, good morning to all of you. The respected chief guest of today, Padma Shri C.N. Raghavendran, Chairman, IGBC, respected directors and Dean of SRM-IST, dear faculty members, students of SRM-IST, and other participants, especially Dr. Sadish Kumar, Dean School of Architecture and Engineering, Architecture Engineering, Interior Design of SRM-IST, for inaugurating the function, who is pioneering in many things, and is actually doing so many things for SRM University and bringing the architecture in the forefront of this one. I'm happy to be a part of this inauguration of Indian Green Building Council Institutional Membership for SRM Engineering and celebrating the World Green Building Week. I came to know this very short notice. Anyway, I'm happy to be part of this one. I used to go to Ministry of Environment and Forest Climate Change, Indira Paryavaran Bhavan, Johor Bahru, Delhi. I think many of you may know this building. They usually call it as a green building, which is self-sustained building and having the rain catchment and sewage treatment, RO water plant, solar cells. And if you see all the rooms in this building are mostly exposed to sunlight, with the minimum light, so they can be able to manage the energy system. So they call it as a green building. Hope we'll have such a building everywhere. I wish to say something about Japan. If you see Japan, so they don't have any natural resources except water. So most of the people in Japan are scientists. I think more than 11% of scientists, people of Japanese are scientists. So one of the richest countries in India, through the hard work, through and scientific inventions, they're able to live comfortably. So though they are facing all the natural disasters, including drought, but they can manage everything through the hard work and scientific invention, exporting to many countries, as you know very well. Similarly, South Korea, 30 years before, it is one of the poorest country on the planet. Now one of the richest countries on this earth. They do not have any natural resources except water, unlike India. So they don't have anything. So by seeing India, they were enslaved to Japanese for more than 100 years to get motivated to meet the Japanese. And again, through hard work and so scientific innovation, they have come to this stage that each house in India, I think, without living any Korean gadget, whether it is a cell phone, TV, refrigerator, washing machine, car, it is such a small country. If you see the area wise, it is smaller than Tamil Nadu. Population wise, I think 3 crores of people, but still, see, they are occupying almost the whole planet through the hard work and scientific innovation. That is very, very important to have the research component. Without doing any research, we cannot sustain on the planet. So we are still importing all these gadgets from other countries, including mobile phone, TV, car, fridge, etc. So very behind both the scientific as well as industrial revolutions. So we do not have, now it is a time to focus on the scientific as well as industrial revolutions. We are producing millions of engineers, but still depend on other countries. Hope the situation will change in India very soon. So especially SRM Institute of Science and Technology, we also focus on all the major areas of research, emphasizing, including one of the best top universities of India. So we are focusing all areas of research, including energy, artificial intelligence, machine language, civil architecture, agriculture, as well as medicine. SRM is one of the best leading universities in research aspect in pioneering area of research. We are one of the private universities publishing papers in the Nature Indexed Journal. So if you know Nature Indexed Journal, there were 89 list of journals. Now last year, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, we have published more than 21 papers in this list, and we ranked #1 private university in India, having such standard articles publishing in the Nature Indexed group of journals. And recently we received the ARIA ranking the ATL ranking for institutions of innovation achievements by MHRD. Last year we have, I think we have ranked 3rd place. Now we are placed at the 2nd place. Hope we will be at the first in the next years. So Hope will be the first leading research institute not only in India, in the world. So I think that's the reason our management is also mainly concerning. If you see most of the countries, as well as what is called all the ranking bodies, so 25 to 30% of the marks they usually give it to research. So without research, it is very difficult to run the universities, and that is the reason SRM Institute of Science and Technology, as I said earlier, we are focusing on the pioneering area of research, and we slowly will leading to the #1 university in India. Hope we will come to the place very soon. So now we have more than 2,200 PhD students are pursuing PhD, I think, and we are also supporting by giving 16,000 per month. Hope it will be revised by 20,000 per month. And we have more than 150 crores of a project funded by the different funding agency, DST, CSIR, DBT, and BRNS, MOF, etc. And more than 200 dedicated research faculty members are focusing on this areas of research. So most of them from IIT, ISC, as well as best institution in India and the world. So I finally would like to thank all the organizers for giving me a chance to share some of the work which we have been doing in SRM University, and wish you all the success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the enlightening word. I would now call upon Dr. N. Cherladan, Head of Mechanical Engineering, SRMIST, to give a few words.
Good morning. Very good morning to all. I respected chief guest and other members. I feel privileged to take part in this MOU program between IGBC and SRMIST and the inauguration of student chapter. On behalf of the Department of Mechanical Engineering, SRMIST, I would like to welcome and congratulate you for this initiative. About the sustainable development goals and about the green building, already our chief guest gave enough details. So
Cherladan sir, I kindly request you to unmute yourself, sir.
are you able to hear me now?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sorry. Okay. Very good morning to one and all. Respected chief guest and other members, I feel privileged to take part in this MOU program between IGBC and SRMIST and the inauguration of student chapter. On behalf of the Department of Mechanical Engineering, SRMIST, I would like to welcome and congratulate you for this initiative. About the Sustainable Development Goal and green building, already our chief guest gave enough details. So we are very fortunate to have him today as a chief guest for this function. We are right now spending more than 90% of our time in indoor building, inside the building, because of this COVID situation. So it is absolutely crucial that we get the indoor environment conditions right and healthy for everybody inside the buildings. The buildings are responsible for 40% of carbon emissions worldwide. Many modern buildings are designed for air conditioning, and the amount of electrical energy required for providing air conditioning can be very significant, especially in the tropical country like us. Even in residential building, the need of this air conditioning necessities have changed from nice to have to need to have. Also, we are working on the area of phase change material based cool thermal energy storage system for building air conditioning applications and also for solar energy application, for the enhancement of energy efficient building through our undergraduate student project to the PhD level research. Hence, this forum of initiative will be useful for our student, research scholars and faculty members. We are ready to support, collaborate and promote this activity in our Department of Mechanical Engineering. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity and sharing few words with you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for joining us today. And now I request Dr. Kanta Devi, Dean, Department of Environmental Nuclear Research, to say a few words.
Thank you, madam. I would like to share a PPT. I'm Dr. Kanta, leading the Center for Environmental Nuclear Research. We are also coordinating many of our environmental activities at SRM, participating at the national and international levels. Now, I will share the PPT. First slide. This is SRM as the gateway for sustainable development goals and leadership demand for the SRM IST students' social responsibilities. Campuses are where talents are incubated, minds are molded, actions are forged, and targets are prioritized. Therefore, college campuses are the places to mainstream sustainable development in the career development of the aspiring youth. Here, I just would like to concentrate one aspect, that is we are participating in the University of Indonesia Green Metric evaluation part. Here we participated both in 2018 and 19. Here, this University of Indonesia is a World University Ranking Initiative, and this was launched in 2010. This is mainly to encourage the reduction of carbon footprint by all the institutes, as well as to bring responsibilities among the citizens. Here, these universities are ranked on the different parameters so that we can get the responsibility of doing it. Next. Here, this is the one. Ranking is, this was started in 2010. We participated in 2018 and 19. In 2018, 719 universities participated among the world, in which we came 392 rank. And in 2019, 780 universities participated, and we came 243 at the international level. Now, present grade is, we are ranked third among the deemed university at the Indian level, and 9th rank out of 25 Indian universities participation, and at the 392 at the international level. This is the comparison chart for different various indicators and parameters. Normally, they are categorizing or evaluating us under 6 categories. The first total score is 10,000. The first category is setting and infrastructure. This is where the green building is coming. Second one is energy and climate. Third is waste. Fourth is water. Fifth is transportation. Sixth is education and research. Here in 2019, we are third rank, but in 2018, we were at the 9th rank. And here different scores are given, and the points are given for each indicators, which I will show you what are the indicators mainly for the green building. Next. These are the different universities participated in 2018 at a national level. Next one. And here the 2019 SRM IST came 243 ranking. The total score out of 10,000 is 5,825. You can see the scores for each one. That is, setting infrastructure is total point are 1,100, in which we received 550. This is where we are ranking very low, but comparatively. But energy and climate 975, waste 120, and water we are ranking in a high level. That is why we are invited to give a presentation at in October. There is going to be a University of Indonesia workshop in Iran. We are requested to give a presentation in that. Next. This is the comparative chart, that is world ranking as well as for 2018 and 19. What are the scores which we have received? Next. This is again in 2018. Next. So these are the parameters. You can see the indicators. This is mainly only for the green building I am showing. S1, S2, S3. Here the ratio of open space area towards total area. Just like our chief guest Dr. Raghavendra has told, they are they are categorizing in different parameters and then evaluating. They are asking us to give the recordings of our university points, in which they are evaluating and giving the points. This is the point which we received in 2018. The parameters are the ratio of open space area towards total area. Second one is area on campus covered in forest. As you know, we don't have much forest, but we could include our trees and other things, which we corrected in 2019. Area on campus covered in planted vegetations, and as you know, we have fully covered with green vegetations. Area on campus for water absorbance, then area of open space divided to campus population. University budget for sustainable development. These are the 6 indicators which they have given and asked us to upload the data, which we have done it, and based on that we got the score. This is the score for 2018. Next. In 2000, next. Okay. This is the 2019 ranking, which we have improved. Next. And these are the different other parameters like energy and climate change and even waste. But I am comparing both 2018 and 19 everywhere. Then waste, water, water, transportation, because all are now completely directing towards the carbon footprint, that is saving of carbon footprint, so that we can prevent the global warming. So here we are at CNR, we are taking the activities on mainly the green environment activities. So we are coordinating for the past 3-4 years the World Environmental Day. We are also taking part in the competitions of Eco Campus, then Green Metric. For the past 2 years we have done. This year also we will be participating. Apart from that, we are also participating in the impact ranking on SDGs, that is Sustainable Development Goal. Here we have formed the functional committee on SDGs, in which, that is 17 SDGs, in which various department faculties will be in charge of that. So this is our responsibility. So arise, awake and stop not until the goal is reached. So we have to make our students responsible for all these environmental activities. So there are 2 aspects which we have to concentrate to bring the awareness of social responsibilities as well as environmental responsibilities among our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Over to you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the presentation and letting us know the stand that we have at SRM. I now request our student representatives to share their views. Mohan Krishna.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, one and all present here. I'm Mohan Krishna from 4th year BArch. The world of architecture has been changing, and now everything is pointing towards sustainability and green buildings. IGBC has a history of nearly 2 decades and serving towards these factors since then. I'm one of the student council representatives from SRM. I'm pleased to take up this position. I, as a student representative, will convey all the information to the students, and this might help them as well as me to change our design ideologies and have more sustainable design approach towards our future designs. We are really looking forward to be a part of this green building movement. Thank you.
Greetings to one and all present here. I am Vidya Lakshmi of 4th year BR. As Mohan rightly said, we are very honored to be associated with the prestigious IGBC, and we sincerely wish that this MOU is a successful one. I would like to sincerely thank our Dean and all our faculties for their relentless efforts on providing us with maximum exposure and experience even in these times of the pandemic. I am very excited and looking forward to representing the 4th year and learning a lot from this experience. Once again, I thank everybody for this opportunity.
Good morning to one and all present here. I, Snigdha Thakur, student representative of 3rd year, I'm highly honored and thankful for this opportunity. And I truly believe that green new buildings have tremendous benefits, both tangible and intangible. These green building concepts and techniques can help us to address issues of national importance through our design like water conservation, sustainable development, etc., which are of utmost importance, and it will also help us to evaluate and anticipate the environmental, economical, and social impacts better, and will also help us to design more effectively with sustainability in mind. Thank you once again, and I hope this event is a successful one.
Good morning, everyone. I am A.N. Muthuswamy of student representative for IGBC 3rd year BR, and we are really excited and looking forward towards the IGBC student community, as sustainability is one of the major important role in future of architecture and the transformation of today's world, and we students are bound to achieve this. And I can assure you that the concern of our students after this session will be on sustainability, will be seen on our design projects, and I really thank Dean sir for giving us this opportunity.
A great good morning to one and all present here. I, James Joseph Daniel, student representative from 3rd year BR, feel highly honored and for this opportunity. The green building movement in our country is going faster and creating enormous demand for the trained professionals. I feel there is a demand for trained professionals in the manufacturing industries and products and designing too. So IGBC has launched many green education programs. This program enables the students to develop industry-ready professionals trained on green concepts. It also facilitates the industry and academic links. So this is a great opportunity for the students to learn and gain a vast knowledge on green buildings. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope this event is a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, dear students, and for taking forward the student chapter actively, and make sure all the students are enlightened and participate actively in this. Thank you so much once again. I thank our chief guest, architect C.N. Raghavendra sir, and also Vivek sir for coordinating for the session, and all the other guests who have been here to make this inauguration a very grand success. I thank all the faculty members and students for participating. And I also extend my invitation for the afternoon session by Mr. M. Anand, Principal Counselor, IGBC, to be present at 2 p.m. Kindly join us on the same link for the afternoon session. Thank you so much and have a very good day. Thank you all.